It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for Season 8 of The Walking Dead. In this video, we're going to be talking about the symbolism in the ending scene from the trailer. So, I've already done a standalone video talking about what that ending scene could be and how it could basically put everything in context in terms of the comic material. But in this video, I'm going to talk more about the symbolism that's there. But before I do that, before I get into the symbolism, I want to kind of bring up something else that I want to share with you guys. Now, this video contains some comic spoilers, so if you're not caught up with the Walking Dead's comic book, or if you don't follow the comic book, you may not want to watch this video because it may spoil some things for you. The first is the fact that Rick looks so old. So even if this is in fact part of a New Beginning story arc from the comics, Rick is way too old in this shot for that to be the case. Rick is different, obviously, but he's not this old. For Rick to be this old, it makes it even more likely that this is in fact some sort of dream sequence. Why would they have Rick be this old in the trailer if this is from the New Beginning story arc? It just doesn't quite make sense. If this is in fact about the New Beginning, then that means that they're gonna have a much longer time jump than they did in the comics, which is very, very unlikely. But in terms of symbolism, I think if you take a look at the way that scene is shot, you see that it's there to mirror the scene with Rick waking up from the coma at the beginning of the series, Season 1, Episode 1. I think that's a given. Everybody can see that that specific scene is shot in a way to mirror Rick waking up from the coma. It's definitely not Rick waking up from the coma, that's for sure. But it's shot in a way to mirror that scene exactly. Now, why would they do that? What is the reason for them to do that? So if you think about the circumstance in which Rick wakes up from the coma, you can kind of put the things into context. Because Rick wakes up from the coma and it's a brand new world. It's the apocalypse. The world that he knew is gone. It's never coming back. He has to learn how to be a different person now. He has to learn how to survive now in this world. So it's a brand new world. It's a new beginning for him. And now if you take a look at the New Beginning story arc, you see that it has the same sort of concept. Because in the New Beginning, it's a new world. It's a brand new world. It's a brand new way of life. And for Rick, and obviously Rick looks different. He looks like a new person. He looks like a changed man. Not only physically, but mentally as well. So I think these two scenes not only mirror each other in terms of the cinematography and the way they're shot, but also from a story perspective as well. Rick wakes up from his coma and he's introduced to a brand new world. It's a new beginning for him. The same way, Rick in the comics after the war is a new man. He basically introduces a new world to all of the survivors, all of the communities. So I think there's definitely something very interesting there, and if we put those two things together, we actually do see the symbolism. Now, the other things I wanted to talk about, going back to the theory I was talking about in the other video I did about this, the flash forward theory, there is another theory out there which is a very interesting theory. So it comes from a user named Ergen that commented on a video, but he does say that this is not his theory, but he actually likes it, and I actually agree with him. I do have a couple things I want to say about it though, but I'm just going to read Ergen's comments and kind of share my thoughts afterwards. So I'm quoting here. Ergen says, Rick wakes up with the cane in 801, goes down to talk to Negan in his cell. We only see Negan's silhouette for the most part as he's sitting in the dark. The war is told through flashbacks during this conversation, a conversation that takes place for the entire season. At the season finale, Negan finally asks Rick, like he did Carl in the comics, tell me, Ricky boy. He leans forward into the light. He's got long hair and a beard, gives that cold smile that Jeffrey Dean Morgan uses for him. After all of this time, all these talks, you still want to kill me? Rick stands at the door, leaning on his cane. Rick gives him the look. Yeah, Negan, I do. Rick walks out, and the door closing is what brings us to black. Silent credits. See you in season 9. So that's the theory, and I actually love this theory. I think it's a great theory, but that being said, there's a couple problems. One is that it could be difficult for them to pull off. Not only because it could get complicated for them. They have like two storylines that they have to deal with. The story about Negan talking to Rick and telling the story, and the storyline with the actual war itself, or the story that's being told itself. So I think it might actually be somewhat of a complicated task for them to pull off. The second thing is that it's great for comic readers because we kind of do understand it. But for non-comic readers, it might be a big WTF moment because they don't understand what's going on. They don't have any context into what this is. And because of that, it could be very difficult for them to get caught up with it and understand what's going on. And I think it might be a risky thing to do. So even though it's a great theory, it's risky. For non-comic readers, they may get very lost and they may lose a lot of viewers because of that confusion. But that's basically all I wanted to share about this. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.